Chauncey is Justin's loyal valet. Although he is a comic relief, I really came to enjoy his character over the course of the series. He has his moments of brilliance.
I wish we'd brought some guards with us just to be on the safe side.
Well, now, it sounds like you don't trust the Crown Prince of Braxton.
You're right.
What would happen if we all felt like that? Peace begins with trust.
If you ask me, peace begins with strength.
All right, you have to be strong, but you have to take chances, too.
I think we're taking a big one now.
Prince Justin's parents play active parts a few times in the series, although their personalities are minimal. His father, King Charles, seems to be a pretty chill guy who respects Justin's decisions. His mother, Queen Catherine, on the other hand, is still trying to get him to hook up with Cecily, and that is at least half in keeping in line with the original story, where both of the prince's parents arranged the marriage between her and their son.
My advice would be to just maintain a royal bearing, and you'll make her look awkward by sheer comparison.
Sorry if it seems like I'm speeding through the characters. They are a likable bunch for the most part. I just don't have much to say about them. There is a lot more to unpack with the antagonists, though, even my least favorite, Cecily. She is based on the princess who the prince actually married in the original story, and I always like to imagine that this was what her character was like. How did Anselm put it again?
Justin's engaged, and to a flippity-gibbet without a brain cell working, because he thinks she's the one who pulled him out of the ocean, and she's taking all the bows.
The mean girl who looks down on the female protagonist is not one of my favorite tropes, but Cecily is tolerable because it never seems to take too long for her to get her comeuppance, unlike, say, Chloe in Miraculous Ladybug. I hate that character because she doesn't just bother Marinette. She will try to ruin other people's lives on a whim. How many people have been akumatized because of her actions? Cecily only targets Marina, which, while not very nice, is at least understandable. However, the biggest downfall with her character is that she stops being a threat to Marina before the first episode is over. She shows up 3 more times, but as Justin is firmly in love with Marina, even a child could tell you that there is no chance he would dump her for Cecily, so she is at worst an annoyance. The only time she poses any danger is indirectly when a misunderstanding leaves her so upset that her father threatens war on Justin's country.
I'll get even for this. I've never been so insulted in my life.
Cecily, wait!
Personally, I would have rather had her do something like use her influence to force Justin to go on dates with her, which would cut down on his time with Marina, thus keeping her as a small threat even if Justin will never love her. I really wish that they had been able to do more with the character, as the original version is, from a certain point of view, the ultimate fairy tale villain. She lets the prince think that she saved him from drowning, and because he never asks her how she knew he was out there in the ocean, this lie dooms the Little Mermaid. To be fair, there are other ways to write her. One novel I read based on the story showed that she truly loved the prince, and that she had to marry him in order to prevent their kingdoms from going to war. It was the most sympathetic portrayal of the character I had ever seen. But it is hard to write such a nuanced version of her, so I totally understand why somebody would either drop her or turn her into a disguise for the Sea Witch or outright turn her evil.
I say, Daddy, he's awfully good looking. Could we make it a little while longer?
Let me make it very clear, Clarissa. The moment you marry Prince William, he's a dead man.
A much cooler human antagonist is Prince Lothar, the ruler of Braxton who has it out for Justin. We never find out exactly why he hates him so much, but because their kingdoms are enemies, I imagine that he was taught to hate everyone in that kingdom from a young age. And if that was the intent of whoever raised him, they did a good job, because he was a dastardly villain and by far the biggest threat our heroes faced on land. My only complaint about his character is that Hedwig appears in every episode he is in. Sometimes they are at odds, but often they are working together, which makes him seem like a glorified henchman. I still wish that he could have gotten some episodes by himself. The closest thing to that is the episode A Mortal in Mermaid's Clothing, where Marina falls into a puddle which turns her back into a mermaid, and she is then captured by 2 men who sell her to a wicked carnival owner named Bert to be a mermaid in his sideshow. It's the best of the 3 episodes Hedwig doesn't appear in. Despite that, Lothar is still a welcome villain who adds a good bit of variety to the stories, and every episode with him in it is above average.
Let us pass. We have business in Braxton.
No, you don't.
Prince Lothar.
Your valet's right. You should have brought guards with you. There is no peace conference, Justin.
You mean it's a trick?
Also, yes, his name sounds similar to one of the most famous evil anime princes, Prince Lothar from Voltron.
Why must they continually defeat me?
It's better to return home in disgrace than stay here and be blown to bits.
You don't have to face my father.
I wonder if Lothar also has daddy issues. Considering that we never see his parents, I wouldn't be surprised if he was somehow responsible for their absence. Lothar is voiced by Richard Dumont, who played the only other recurring character in the stories told on Are You Afraid of the Dark? Mr. Sardo.
That's Sardo. No, mister. Accent on the dough. So, what are you looking for?
I really wish that we had gotten a scene of him talking to Anselm. The Are You Afraid of the Dark story where their characters met was always one of my favorites. But Lothar is only the number 2 villain in this series, which brings us to the usual arch-nemesis in Little Mermaid adaptations, the Sea Witch. Purists will note that in the original story she was more of a neutral character, but she always seemed sinister to me, so I can't blame anybody for making her a villain. As I initially read about how the Little Mermaid suffered, I could hear the Sea Witch's laughter at the back of the narration in my mind, giving me the image of her watching her misfortune through a crystal ball. I mean, her home is made from the bones of drowned humans. That sounds completely in character for her. Most telling of all is that she doesn't just simply take her voice magically as payment, leading to what is still one of my favorite visual representations of an abstract concept in animation. In exchange for transforming the Little Mermaid into a human, she takes out her tongue.
But that's terrible.
That, combined with her telling the Little Mermaid that every step she took on land would feel like she was walking on knives and that she would die if the prince married another woman, left me with a sinking feeling that only got worse as the story went on. A couple adaptations have the Sea Witch cause the storm that sinks the prince's ship, which I really like as it helps tie her into the story more. But to be fair though, that's not the only way to portray her. There's an anime called Maho no Mako-chan, which is basically the Little Mermaid set in the 70s, and the Sea Witch in there doubles as the mermaid's grandmother. Fusing the two characters from the original story results in what is probably the nicest version of the Sea Witch we'll ever see. She helps Mako become a human without taking her voice. The only price she has to pay aside from never becoming a mermaid again is a painful transformation which is true to the text, but she is thankfully spared everything else and even ends up with the man she rescued. I know that she appears more in the series, but I can only find the first episode with English subtitles. If I could ever watch it, I am sure this would be a top-tier Little Mermaid adaptation. Personally though, I think that the Sea Witch works best as an antagonist. She just seems like such a natural final boss. But whether she's bad or good or truly neutral, people have done a lot of great designs with her. My favorite being Toei's because she looks like a monster from Sailor Moon, which is fitting because Toei also made the original anime. A shame that just like in the original story, she disappears after the Little Mermaid becomes human. It's a waste of a great design that's just begging to be used as the final boss in a version with a happy ending. There are occasionally weak designs like this one in HBO's Happily Ever After, Fairy Tales for Every Child. I mean, overall it's a perfectly serviceable adaptation with a happy ending, which is enough for me to put it in the win category at this point, but even as a kid I thought, that's not a sea witch.
That's a crab!
Hedwig is a great villain, but out of all the original Anderson characters with Disney counterparts, she probably has the stiffest competition.
Oh, no. I can't stand it. It's too easy.
Ursula is definitely one of my top 12 favorite Disney movie villains. Everything about her, from her design to her personality, always made her such a sinister figure. Like her movie as a whole, I have seen better Disney villains since then, as well as at least one that came before, but man was she a great choice for baby's first Disney villain. I was never terrified of her even as a kid, but I always found her very intimidating. I also find her to have a better design than Hedwig. I actually love her design for the most part. The eel body and her long hair are more visually appealing. However, the only thing I don't like about her is her chin, which is a bit much and is what really makes her ugly. As shown by the same artist friend I mentioned around the beginning of the review, without that chin she could have been kind of pretty. But there's a reason for her ugliness that I'll get into later. Personalities are more important than character designs anyways. Ursula is a master manipulator who thought big by aiming to rule the ocean. While Hedwig wants to get the amulet of power so that she can rule the world, she often dedicates her time to making Marina and Justin suffer. In one episode, she goes to the trouble of paying Lothar a chest full of gold to capture Justin just so that she can use him as bait to catch Marina with the intent of cutting her hair off. Perhaps a reference to the original story. On one hand, that makes her more simple-minded, but on the other, it does give her a certain flair and in some ways makes her meaner than Ursula, who may delight in taking advantage of others, but it's usually for a bigger goal, or at least with people who have come to see her. Hedwig would go looking for you and mess up your day out of pure spite, I'm sure. Sonja Ball did double duty voicing both Marina as well as Hedwig. And while she does a good job with her cackling old witch voice, Pat Carroll as Ursula just sounded smoother even when she went over the top.
The child is in love with a human, and not just any human, a prince. Her daddy'll love that.
For a bit, I wondered why Hedwig hates Marina and Justin so much that she dedicates a lot of her time to tormenting them, but I quickly came up with a theory. Perhaps Marina was the first person to ever get out of a deal with her completely unchanged, and that really put a dent in her reputation, so she wants revenge on Marina to show that nobody ever gets the better of her. Justin, on the other hand, she needs alive so that she can ransom him for the amulet of power, but you can't tell me that she doesn't enjoy going after him. Marina even counts on it to trick Dudley into freeing them in one of my favorite moments.
Hang on, Justin, I won't let you die. Dudley, the princess breathing potion has run out. You have to help us.
Help you? Oh, I can't.
Come on, have a heart.
Hedwig will be really angry if you let him die.
Just think how much he enjoys pushing the prince around.
I'm probably gonna regret this, but I'm gonna open it.
Yeah.
Hedwig doesn't just delight in torturing the heroes, even her own henchmen have been abused by her. Just look at her mocking Dudley when she forces him into drinking a potion that turns him into a human while still in her lair underwater.
You've become human. You could show me some gratitude at least. What's the matter with you? Anyone would think you're drowning. Well, good grief, man, do just stand there dancing. Get to the surface.
It's a far cry from how Ursula reacted when she accidentally fried Flotsam and Jetsam.
Babies! My poor little poopsies.
I have seen that she wasn't so caring of her eels in the episodes of the TV series where she appeared, but I'm not counting those in this comparison because Ursula was nerfed to the point where Hedwig could easily beat her. Anyways, what Hedwig lacks in humanity she makes up for with the most interesting backstory of any sea witch, something I will go into when I discuss my favorite episodes. All I'm going to say is that it doesn't turn out that she's Marina's aunt. Hedwig at her worst has done a couple things that would give even Ursula a run for her money. One time she even came the closest any sea witch has ever come to winning.
Oh, she's better than I thought.
In the episode Song of the Sea Witch, Hedwig gets her hands on the Pipe of Silene, which was crafted by a siren who couldn't sing, so she enchanted its music to hypnotize whoever hears it. None of the heroes can resist it. Winnie holds out for a while, but she still succumbs to it. Even Anselm falls prey to the spell, and almost hands the amulet of power over to Hedwig. She would have won if her song hadn't have summoned crabs that attacked her, giving Anselm the chance to snap out of it and summon lightning to shock her like Pikachu.